Hello and welcome back to Book Yaps with Ash. I'm Ash, and today I'm in a cozy spot on the couch beside my Christmas tree because I'm being cozy. And so we're gonna have a cozy conversation about books I read in November. Book Yaps with Ash. If you're wondering where Haven is, he's I can see him, but you can't, so I'm sorry about that. I can't control him. This is my view right now, so you can see. Hi, Edgar. You can see he's on the table, and I do have a puzzle going, so I've had to put down a towel so that the cats don't eat the puzzle pieces or break the puzzle. So everybody's here, and I'm sorry that Haven isn't in shot or on camera, but you need to know that he does whatever he wants and gets whatever he wants. So anyways, Edgar, what the hell are you doing? Okay. We're going to talk about the books I read in November. What are you running off with? I had a stellar reading month in November. I read 7 books. I DNF'd 1 book. And we're going to get into what the hell all those were. So, let's just go in order. Okay? Okay, actually, we're going to start off so strong. Okay. I read what is probably one of my favorite books of all time at this point. Definitely going to be a reread. There's a show that just came out, which is why I read it, and that is Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. And if you haven't heard of this show, then you must not be gay. That's my conclusion. Everybody gay knows about this, especially with the show coming out. It is blown up all over the world. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to just be a Canadian show, but everybody wants it. So what's Heated Rivalry, you ask? Heated Rivalry is a gay hockey romance. It is steamy. It is rated R. And it is about Shane and Ilya, who form a relationship that exists over years. I think maybe 8 years. That starts before they've even been drafted to the NHL. But the thing about them is that they are rivals. So they're on rival teams. They were drafted the same year. They're always competing against each other for MVP and most goals and blah, blah, blah hockey stuff. But they're secretly banging over the course of many, many years. And while starts as just banging, their relationship is so pure and beautiful, and the characters are so real. They have struggles internally that don't just have to do with being gay, and in hockey, and it's just really lovely. I read this in like one day, and it was fantastic. 5 freaking stars, 6 freaking stars. Read it once, read it twice. Watch the show. Don't watch the show with your parents. Yeah, Heated Rivalry. So that was number 1. Number 2, The Kamogawa Food Detectives. This is a classic, cozy Japanese fiction. This is about a diner called the Kamogawa Diner that serves food, of course, but also they do detective work looking to recreate really important recipes from people's lives. So you get, I think, 4 or 5 stories of different characters who come in looking for very specific meals that they just can't recreate. Or, the restaurant's been shut down, or the person who made them is no longer in their life, and the owner of the restaurant essentially does detective work to try and get the recipe and recreate the meal for them. And that's it. It's exactly what you expect you're going to get out of this book, and it's lovely. These are just... I love these kinds of books. They're cozy, and, like I said, exactly what you think you're going to get out of them, and every chapter ends up having some sort of a lesson, while I get what I expect out of them. The characters usually don't. They usually learn something, and I like that about these books, so definitely recommend if you are a fan of things like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It is similar vibes to that. Next was a sad book, but I loved it. I think it's honestly one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Demon Copperhead. So I read this for the Your Cool Books Rule book club for November. I don't know if I would have picked this up so soon, if not for that book club, but I'm very glad I did. It's a great book club book because there's so much to discuss with this book. Essentially, it is the life story of our main character, Demon. He was born the name Damon, but everybody in his town has a nickname of some sorts, and his is Demon. We just hear about his very difficult life living in this small town, being in foster care, everybody around him, including himself, getting into drugs, specifically oxy. The opioid crisis is a very big fact in this book and is a very real thing that is discussed. This is also kind of a David Copperfield retelling. I've never read David Copperfield, but it's supposed to be kind of based on that, but essentially an epic life saga of our main character, what he goes through, and how he feels about it. And this, like, as a character, he's just fantastic, and the audiobook actually brought it to life even more. The guy who narrates him gives him such a good accent, really, and like brings out his personality in ways that I couldn't with just reading it. And like the writing itself is really wonderful. It's beautiful, but also practical for it being a first person perspective. But yeah, I thought this was a really good book. It's very sad. Like bad thing after bad thing happens to this guy. Definitely could be compared to A Little Life. So if you are a fan of A Little Life, I think you will really like this. And if you hate A Little Life, not for you. That's kind of my thoughts on that. You may remember last month I talked about the book Unhinged, the first book in the Necessary Evils series, and I did continue on with the second book, Psycho, which is about another brother in the Mulvaney family. And this time his love interest is a FBI agent turned professor at his university who has a gift that when he touches something or someone, he can like see their memories and where they've been and their experiences. So he finds out very quickly that August, the main character, is a serial killer, and one thing leads to another, and they fall in love and bang. So obviously that's like the natural plot line of finding out someone's a serial killer, right? No. But he's a vigilante, right? Don't forget that part. Okay. And then there's of course the subplot of them getting a bad guy, but the main plot is them boning. So, had a lot of fun with Psycho, and I recommend that series if that's something you think you might be into. Next, for the Books Are Sick book club, we read an Agatha Christie book. It was Agatha Christie month, and the winner of the poll was Endless Night. And okay. I read And Then There Were None 10 years ago. I think it was my first ever locked door mystery, and I loved it. I read it in a day. I ate it up. I cannot confidently tell you if it holds up, given how long it's been, but I remember it being great, like so page-turnery. This book was a slog, man. I messaged in the Discord, like, I think I was like 50% in, and I said the only mystery here is why I should care. So this book is about a guy. It's about a guy. He wants to live in this house that's on property, and I'm only going to say the name once because it's problematic. Gypsy's Acre. Okay? And he wants to live there, but he can't afford it. And then he conveniently meets Ellie, who's like an heir to a lot of money. And they get married, and then they buy the property. And then weird stuff starts to happen. Somebody dies. That's like the plot. But it takes so long to get there. There's real estate talk. There's this guy being a white asshole who like definitely hates women. He's a horrible character. You don't care about him at all. And like the ending, the last about 30 pages were what I wanted out of the whole book, and I just didn't get it. It took way too long to get there. And so, do I recommend this book? No. What was my favorite thing about this book, you ask? The size of the actual physical book. Look. so I could read one hand. And it's small. So I brought it to my appointment. And I read it there. That's the best thing about this, and that's not even, like, that doesn't have really anything to do with the book. Just this version. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought, apparently this is her favorite book that she ever wrote. You don't have to be edgy. You don't have to be different, Agatha. Just do what you're good at. And I didn't like it. So, yeah, if you want to read an Agatha Christie book, probably don't pick this one. Okay? Endless Night. Write that down. Don't pick it. Next book that I read, of course, Dungeon Crawler Carl 3. Okay? And I've got another reading vlog coming. It's filmed. It is not edited. It will be out either before or after this video. Those are the two options. So I won't say too much about it, aside from, of course, I loved it. My one qualm with this one is it was kind of difficult to follow. So they're on the 4th floor, and the 4th floor is a bunch of trains, like a bunch of train lines. There's different kind of trains, I think, subways and steam trains and little carts and big carts and whatever. Lots of stuff going on. And there are different stations which have like mobs or safe rooms or blah, blah, blah. But also the stations have the same name or number. Like there are a bunch of Station 12s. So while I love where the story is going, I love the kind of big plot points that happened, it was very difficult for me to follow how we got there, because anything of action that also happened on a train, which was like most of the book, I didn't fully get where we were going. Literally. So that's my one qualm. I feel like that's like a common piece of feedback for this book. But also, the crawlers themselves didn't really know what was going on, or where they were going, and that was part of it. So I think it had to be confusing in a way, but it was a bit confusing for me. Didn't take away from the book. Still gonna keep going with the rest of the series. Really excited about where the 4th book is about to go. And yeah, so 4 stars for that one. 4. Next, I DNF'd a book, okay? And like, I don't know, you could call it a soft DNF. You could call it a not right now, but I started and got about 20% into Martyr. And I've heard really good things about this book. I've also heard not great things about this book. And honestly, I think it just wasn't the time to read this. It's poetic. The writing is great. I really did like the writing. I actually thought, like, kind of wish I bought the book instead of borrowed it so I could underline my favorite quotes, but also didn't get very far into it, so I kind of retract that statement. But I think the problem with this is that there were chapters that I found really interesting, and there were chapters that I don't know, fell asleep. But it just wasn't holding my attention, and I wasn't feeling inspired to read it. So I just stopped reading it, kept reading the other stuff I was reading, and didn't pick it back up. So you can call it a soft DNF. You can call it a not right now. I don't know if I'll pick it back up again. I don't own the book, so I'm just going to return it to the library, and we will see. But yeah, it's not that I hated it or even didn't like it. I think it just wasn't holding my attention at the time. And believe it or not, that was my whole TBR for the month of November. Martyr was like kind of on it. I decided like halfway through the month, because the Books Are Sick book club is getting the author, that I wanted to read it. But I don't think I'll be joining that. I probably watch the interview at some point. But yeah, other than that, that was my full TBR for the month of November, and I finished it again, which is crazy. I also got a head start on December's TBR by reading The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Because I've seen Wicked 2 now, Wicked for Good, and I've been looking forward to reading this and Wicked for a whole year. I also went through a whole year without looking up how Wicked ends, because I didn't know. But I read this, so I read this as if it was actually the fan fiction written based on Wicked, and I wouldn't recommend doing that, because you're going to be like, hey, all these plot holes exist. But this was written first, guys. This was okay. It was fine. It was quick read. Audiobook was fine. Did a little bit of both. yeah, when you read it in the context of knowing the story of Wicked, you'll probably be a bit confused and really overthink the story, and make it more than what it was really intended. Like, it's supposed to be a story of all these characters who wanted something out of someone who was a fraud, then realized they had it all along. That's the story of Wizard of Oz, that we have it in us or whatever. And yeah, it was good. There were some weird parts. There were some parts that, they definitely cut out of the play. I've seen the play. And, no songs. Can't put songs in books, really. Though Suzanne Collins would disagree. But yeah, I thought this was okay. It's one you could skip. It's a classic. It's a children's book. If you want to read it. But it's not mind-blowing, But it's fun. Okay? So, Wizard of Oz. And that brings us to the end of this video. So those were the books I read in November. And I think that my making a TBR and sticking to it streak of 2 months is about to come to an end, because I have about 12 books I want to read in December, including a bunch of novellas for the Your Cool Books Rule Book Club novella Nightcap, which is between Christmas Eve and New Year's. So we'll see. Some of the books on my TBR for December I might want to read, and I'm they're kind of on the list if I feel like it, but I also wouldn't be mad if I didn't read them. So we'll just see where things end up. But yeah, these were the books I read in November. This is my Christmas tree, and I hope you have a nice time on this day, whatever day it is and whatever time it is. Thanks for watching Book Yaps with Ash. Bye.